Marcus walked home from school every day. He and his family just moved here a few weeks ago, and their house was only a few blocks from his school. He always walked past this old abandoned house. The kids at school said it was haunted. They dared him to go in. So, he decided to go into the house and prove that he wasn't afraid. As soon as he entered the house, he could feel a cold chill run down his spine. It felt like someone was watching him. He slowly made his way through the dark hallways, trying not to make any noise. Suddenly, he heard a loud crash coming from upstairs. He nervously went up the stairs, but when he got there he saw nothing but an old broken mirror on the floor. He started to feel uneasy now and decided it was time to leave. As he turned to leave, something caught his eye. There was a door at the end of the hallway, that he would swear hadn't been there before. He slowly approached it and opened it. On the far side of the room was a dark mound of what looked like old clothes. The mound moved slowly and what sounded like several dogs, growling all at once came from it. Marcus turned and ran as fast as he could out of the house. He felt like something was chasing him the entire way out. He didn't stop running until he got home. He told his mom what happened. She said that wasn't a very good idea, but it was probably just a stray dog. Marcus knew what he saw and heard was not just some stray dog. He knew he had encountered something much more sinister in that old abandoned house. Something that was definitely not human. The next day at school, Marcus told the other boys that he had gone into the old house and what he saw and heard in there. They told him he had made it all up. They didn't believe he had gone in there. One of the boys said that he had been in the house several times and there wasn't a door at the end of the hall. The other boys that had been in the house agreed with him. Marcus said, "I'll prove it to you, let's all go there today after school. I'll show them that I hadn't made up anything, and that what I told them was real." When school got out, Marcus and only two of the other boys, Matt and Ryan, headed off to the old house. They walked up in front of the old house and Matt told them, "I just remembered, my mom said I had to come straight home today to get my chores done, so you guys will have to tell me about it tomorrow." Matt turned and headed back towards his own house. "I think Matt was just scared," Ryan said. "He's only ever been in the old house once before and he was really freaked out afterward." "Well, let's do it then." They both headed in. The front door would only open enough for them to just squeeze through. It was dim inside, because of the heavy curtains, mostly covering the windows. They both stood there for a minute letting their eyes adjust, then started up the stairs. When they reached the second floor, Marcus looked to the end of the hallway and was surprised to find that there wasn't a door there. That's strange, there was most definitely a door right there, at the end of the hall. Ryan told him, "Yeah, that's what I said, I've been in here lots of times and there has never been a door there. Yesterday, I was downstairs, then I heard a noise coming from up here. I went into this room." He pointed and started walking to the room straight ahead of them. "I figured the noise had been this mirror falling and breaking." "You mean that mirror hanging on the wall?" Ryan pointed to the mirror hanging on the wall to the side. "But, it was laying on the floor, broken into pieces yesterday. I guess you made that up too." Ryan turned and headed out of the room. Marcus stared at the mirror, and the floor in front of it for a few seconds, then turned and followed him out. Just as he stepped out of the room's doorway, a loud boom, then crash, came from the room behind them. Both boys spun around instantly, then looked around the door. The mirror was laying on the floor broken into pieces just like he had seen before. "Ryan, that is exactly the same sound and the mirror is laying exactly as it was yesterday. Did you make that fall, just to try to scare me?" Ryan said with a somewhat trembling voice. "No! I swear, I didn't touch it." They both backed out of the room, then Ryan hit him on the shoulder and pointed down the hallway. There at the end of the hallway was a door, that they both agreed had not been there a few minutes ago. "The door, it just appeared, we both know that door wasn't there before, right?" Marcus asked. "What are you doing?" Ryan asked as Marcus started heading down the hallway towards the door. "I've got to see if it is in there again. The dog or whatever it was." "Come on," Marcus told him. "No way, I'm not going in there," Ryan said as he turned and ran down the stairs. Marcus slowly made his way down the hallway to the door. He put his hand on the knob, then looked back over his shoulder for a second before turning it and opening the door. A gust of wind came rushing out, blowing past him. Darkness and the same growls like a bunch of dogs all at the time, blew past him, along the hallway, then down the stairs after Ryan. He heard Ryan scream in terror, then nothing. Ryan! He called and started running along the hallway to the head of the stairs. He looked down, but saw no sign of Ryan, or whatever the thing was that chased him. He hurried down the stairs, and out the door. He got to the street out front of the house, but didn't see Ryan anywhere. Ryan! He called, but got no answer. He must have run as fast as he could straight home like I did yesterday, he thought. He quickly headed home too, and thought of what they had both just seen. Well, now the other boys will believe us, since we both seen the same thing. He didn't mention to his mom that they had gone back to the old house. The next day, when Marcus got to school, he looked for Ryan, so they could talk about what happened at the old house the day before. In first period, Ryan wasn't there. But what was really strange, Emily was sitting at Ryan's desk. Not only that, but Sarah was sitting at Emily's desk. The more I looked around, the more I noticed that several people were sitting at desks they didn't normally sit at. After first period, Matt came up to him in the hall. "Sorry, I left you hanging there by yourself yesterday. Did you go back in again?" "By myself?" Yeah, Ryan and I went in and it was freaky. Ryan wasn't in first period, have you seen him?" Matt looked at me with a puzzled expression. "Who is Ryan?" "Ryan. You, me, and Ryan all went to the old house together yesterday." "Dude? Did you fall and hit your head in that house yesterday?" "I don't know anybody named Ryan." "Well, I got to go, I'll catch you at lunch, later." Matt headed off to his next class. I just stood there and stared at him heading away. He doesn't know who Ryan is? He shook his head and hurried down the hall to his next class. He must be messing with me. But he wasn't. The next few classes were much the same, people sitting at the wrong desks. I brought up Ryan's name to a few different people, and got the same kind of responses that Matt gave me. Who was Ryan? Nobody knew, or remembered anything about Ryan. Except me.